There's a reason why for the last 13 years, startups overwhelmingly prefer to build on top of AWS. We have the largest number of services, making it easy for you to take on some of the biggest challenges with the smallest teams. We also have partnerships with the top VCs, accelerators, and incubators around the world, making it easier to secure your next round of funding.
I'm a solution architect with the AWS Head Start program. What we do is we work with startups in the education sector, and we help them build their services on AWS.
So We Power Tech is AWS's diversity and inclusion outreach program. The program is really twofold. One is to increase the number of underrepresented technologists within the industry, and the second is to provide a platform for them to be seen and heard.
If you're wondering how the AWS evangelism team might be able to help your startup, there are many ways. We're technically credible across our entire catalog of products, so we can help you figure out which services might be able to meaningfully impact your business. We also want to help tell your story. So if you're building something cool, we want to know about it and help spread that message to the world. So you might end up on stage at an event like AWS Summit. If you're a startup, you should also definitely check out the AWS Lofts. These are event spaces that are free to anyone with an AWS account. And you can treat them like co-working spaces, but the awesome thing about them is that we also have people like technical evangelists like myself, solutions architects that come and give hands-on technical workshops and sessions to help you learn how to more effectively utilize the AWS products and platforms that you're already building on top of.
We are a dedicated team of people that love startups, that we just want to come and help you with whatever we can, whether it be technical or business focused. We are here to help guide you and make sure that you do have a say in what's going on. We do get your feedback. We do bring that feedback to the service teams. That is what we're here for.
Udoka, for inviting me to share and speak to the Enugu kind of startup grind community. It's wonderful to be a part of this conversation, but certainly as it says, your speaker is echoing in the back. Okay, just give me 1 second, let me... Okay, is that any better, or am I still echoing?
I think it should be okay now.
Okay. It's better now, perfect. There you go, just a little mute and unmute, then it helps. So, as I was saying, my name is Phin Mpofu. I lead our partner success and global community teams over at Startup Grind HQ. I am based just outside London in a place called Berkshire. I've been with a part of the Startup Grind community now for, it'll be 7 years in January 2021. Which has been an incredible experience for me. Of course, when Roke invited me to kind of speak, it was really about kind of brand. And I thought, look, for us, Startup Grind, one thing we have done very, very well is we have been able to leverage community to build a global brand. And this particular workshop, I'm essentially kind of going to share both the Startup Grind story, but more importantly, how it relates to how we have been able to leverage community to build this global brand that we're in. So just double checking, Doka, if we're all good to go and I can proceed.
Oh, okay, sir. Well, it's cool, but we could just give a little bit, like 5 minutes, then we'll resume, sure. Except you want to give some intro about the AWS while we wait for them to come in.
Absolutely, brilliant. That is excellent. So one of the things, and this will definitely relate to how we have been able to give a global brand, is we work with a multitude of partners. One of those partners is AWS. They're a global partner of ours. They've been so now for approaching actually a year. And AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. And one of the things that they are doing is they're looking to kind of share the tools and services that local communities can utilize, especially if you're a developer or someone who has an idea to build a technology application to utilize Amazon Web Services. I'll just basically just minimize my screen very quickly here and show you their website whilst we're waiting for a couple of people to come in. So this is that. This is AWS Activate Services. So they do a plethora of different like tools and services and application, from databases to some programming languages or ability for you to kind of host your application online or analytics. And because we've partnered with them, you're able to kind of apply for free and essentially kind of potentially kind of get some of their credits to which can help you to start to build your tools and applications. Of course, if you maybe are not technically, don't have a technical background, they also have plenty of tutorials, not only on their website here, but also on places like YouTube, where you can kind of Google AWS services, which could hopefully allow you to get up and running. So if you're definitely interested, please have a further conversation with Udoka, who will be delighted to kind of send you a link to some of their services, but you'll also have it on the website. Or certainly myself, if there are any other questions, please do feel free to reach out. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right,
sir.
well, look, you're very welcome. Why don't we get started? I know we said we might wait for a few people, but no doubt they can kind of just jump in and join, but just conscious of time to ensure we have plenty of time. So,
okay, sir.
Is there anything you wanted to say before you kicked us off, or shall I proceed?
Oh, I would. Normally, I would love to do the introduction, although you've done a little bit of introduction of yourself, sir. Okay. So, once again, good afternoon, everybody. And welcome to the. I think this should be the 10th workshop on our workshop series that is geared towards equipping the cohorts of the 2021 HULT PRIZE global competition, which is themed Food for Good. And these cohorts are specifically from our ecosystem over here, more specific from the University of Nigeria. This is all in a bid to equip every one of the cohorts to have what it takes to go out there and compete and then bring back home the prize money. And of course, be better positioned to influence the ecosystem and also the world at large positively, using the solutions which they are putting forward as their entrepreneurial stride. And I feel highly honored and very much elated to introduce to you our guest speaker for today, who is one of my bosses. He is the one of the Startup Grind's top officers operating at the headquarters, and his name is Mr. Phin Mpofu, and he is on a mission. And you always see it in when he takes up the mic. He's always very, 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 very skilled in explaining and dissolving doubts and explaining very, very unclear areas concerning anything that is being discussed. He has a personal mission to help startups succeed, having had experience firsthand from the challenges and hardship that came with his own startup, Home Place, which eventually did not go through. He is Startup Grind's Director of Partnership Success, focused on creating successful outcomes for their partners and their interactions with our startup program and global community. He previously served as Startup Grind's Senior Community Lead, helping oversee the growth and management of Startup Grind's chapters around the world, and championing the local chapter directors to build incredibly helpful, dynamic, and well-connected communities for their local startup ecosystems. His commitment to helping entrepreneurs was recognized in 2016 by the Center for Entrepreneurs. He was listed on the Maserati 100, the annual list which recognizes entrepreneurs who are generously giving their time and resources to support the next generation of young entrepreneurs, which we are. So he is also an alumni fellow of the Center for Entrepreneurs. So we are more than happy to have you here.
An introduction, Inoka. Thank you so much. And as I say at the top of the call, it's wonderful to be speaking to your local startup ecosystem, and hopefully I can share some nuggets in this workshop all about leveraging community to build a global brand. And of course, whilst many of you are focused in the food sector, what you'll ultimately realize is it's important to build a brand in that food sector. So as I go through my presentation workshop here, hopefully you can have a few nuggets as I shared. My plan is to kind of just talk for about 20 to 25 minutes, 30 minutes tops, and then definitely kind of open it up for questions, especially if they are maybe specific things in your current entrepreneurial journey, or as you're looking to kind of compete with this HULT prize. If anything that I can kind of assist you with, it may not necessarily be related to kind of leveraging community to build a global brand, but if you have anything specific that you want some general advice for, I am delighted to kind of share that. As Udoka said in the introduction, for me, I have a massive passion in helping founders and entrepreneurs in all shapes and sizes. I have the great fortune, of course, of doing it sitting out here just outside London, but speaking to an entire world. We oversee over 600 chapters in 125 countries all around the world. So it's always interesting and fascinating to see. And I always say, you know, entrepreneurship is the great equalizer. It's the one thing that will allow us to lift ourselves out of poverty and hopefully kind of create a legacy of wealth creation, not only for ourselves, but for our families and ultimately our ecosystems. Okay, so I will proceed by just sharing my screen here. So in the chat, if you just want to give me either a thumbs up or just confirmation that you can see my screen okay. Hopefully I haven't lost everyone already, but just want to confirm. Perfect. Thank you, Udoka. Anyone else, if you can see my screen okay, that would be super helpful, just to let us know, and then I will kind of kick things through. Okay, thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Chibuke. All right, so our brand. This is the Startup Grind brand that you'll see over here. Let me just go back a little step here. This was taken back in 2019, actually. So last year, thought I had the most recent one I'd uploaded up on there. You can kind of see me there, my head swinging in that picture there. But this is several of our Startup Grind chapter directors all around the world, quite literally. And at the time, we were sponsored in partnership with Google for Startups. Now they're just one of several partners that we have, and I'll discuss about them a little bit. So what does it take to bring hundreds of people together and align behind this brand called Startup Grind? And there are a few things that I'll share with you in this particular talk. If I could crystallize it, it will definitely be, you know, three things: the why, the who, and the what, ultimately. And I'll come to that essentially in a minute. Startup Grind has a very clear mission. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and connect the world's entrepreneurs and support the startups they are building. And we primarily do that through fantastic gentlemen like Udoka, who are able to bring you all together and bring speakers together that can kind of share their experiences in a bit to kind of help you on your journey. Now, of course, we are in COVID-19 and coronavirus times, which has undoubtedly had a devastating impact on the entire world. Africa has fared very, very well. There's a video of Aliko Dangote speaking with Graça Machel and Strive Masiwa. So three individuals that I respect immensely. I actually had the great pleasure of meeting Mr. Dangote at a World Economic Forum event a few years back. Sat him, he's got an absolutely incredible mind as an entrepreneur and founder. And of course, with the Dangote brand, which does have obviously services in the food sector, has built absolutely incredible entrepreneurship, but he also had a mission. So like Startup Grind, the goal is saying, how do you kind of take this mission that you have as entrepreneurs, and what is it for you that can help you kind of build this brand? And it's important that you have a clear vision and a clear mission that Startup Grind has. I would say the thing that will drive any of your businesses, and when you kind of think of saying, I'm coming up with a brand, and it's a brand for rice, or it's a brand for vegetables, whatever it may be, obviously in the food sector, it's important that you almost have an underlying mission behind it. Alongside it, so I wouldn't even say behind it or after it, I would say alongside it. So in parallel to your mission should then also be your values. And your values are really what will define you and will pull and bring people towards you. In our case for Startup Grind, our values are make friends, not contacts, help others before yourself, and give first. Don't just take. Now, your value could essentially be anything. Your value could be kind of things like make no child go hungry, or look after thy neighbor, or something along those lines that can really let people be aligned to you, so that what you have is not just a brand or not just a product, because everyone has got a product named after you. I'm sure if you go to like your local supermarket, or if you go into your local retail store and you look on the shelves, there are so many brands out there. I mean, especially in this day and age, one classic example is this, is if you look at the sporting arena, there are so many sports brands out there. But if I was to kind of do a quick poll here in the chat and say, which brand, like sports brand, comes first to your mind, what would the answer be? So if I say to you all that are on the talk right now, which sports or athletic brand is the first one that comes to your mind? If you want to put your answers in the chat, or if you want to take yourselves off mute, you're definitely welcome to do so as well. So which sports brands come to your mind? If you think of a sports brand, an athletic brand, which one's the first one that comes to your mind? Some people feel free to kind of add them to the chat section. Okay, maybe some people are having a few issues in the chat, but I can tell you right now, there you go, Puma. Puma is a fantastic example. ESPN is another fantastic example. Maybe some of you are also thinking of Nike or Adidas, but let's put with Puma there. That was like the first one that was put up there. Puma is one of the most recognized sports brands out there, because what they've been able to do is align their brand with very high profile sporting individuals, whether it is in the football space or whether it is in the athletic space. A classic example being one of Puma's top athletes is Usain Bolt. And you'll see him constantly kind of wearing the Puma brand as a whole. But what they were able to do was align their values to a sports personality who then got behind the brand. So then it goes just beyond money. You know, Usain Bolt could have been sponsored by Nike and Adidas, and I'm sure for many years they probably tried to get him, but ultimately he went with a brand that aligned with obviously their values. So as you go about building your brands, it is important that you kind of figure out what your values are as your brand. So alongside your mission, as I said, your values are both equally important as well. So as you then kind of go from your values, you then need, like with any brand and any business, you need the people, right? You need the people that are going to be aligned to your brand, are going to come and say, we love your mission, we love your strategic vision, we love the values behind you. And that at the end of the day should then kind of bring these people together, which is, you can see what Startup Grind has done. That's me in the center there. And that was at our most recent Startup Grind conference we hosted in February 2020, just gone by there. And what we decided to do here was brand ourselves now as Startup Grind as the world's largest startup community. A very clear, very definitive branding exercise that we did for ourselves, which allowed us to attract all these people from all around the world here. I think there's somewhere in this picture as well, there's Uwem here, who's our chapter director in Lagos. I think he spoke recently at an event, if I'm not mistaken.
Lagos.
Yeah, he spoke. Yeah, he's speaking, or has he already spoken?
No, Mr. Owem is the chapter director for Lagos. Yes.
Yeah, and he's speaking as well at one of your events. Is he
Yes.
not?
Yes. He'll be speaking tomorrow.
Perfect. And he's I don't know if he's still with the Tony Elomo Foundation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really smart guy, and again, just another classic example of how we can bring incredible people together who share our mission and our values, in obviously building and becoming the world's largest startup community. As you can see there, how we've been able to build this very, very strong brand has got us to 125 countries, 600 chapters, over 800 directors, including people like Udoka, and 2 million entrepreneurs all around the world. But everything starts from somewhere. This is the thing, right? When Startup Grind started, we didn't think that, oh yeah, 10 years later, we would have all these people on stage. We had to start somewhere. Every story has a beginning and an ending, but every story has a beginning. So of course, in your entrepreneurial journeys, even with this competition with the HULT Prize, what you may find is it's just going to be a part of your story and part of your narrative and part of your journey. This is one of the first Startup Grind conferences that we hosted. And we had this gentleman on there. He's wearing like a wristband. I don't know if you can kind of see clearly on this picture on there. I think I'm somewhere behind Derek. I think that's like me slightly sitting up behind there. And we do this thing at, if you attend our global conference, you get a wristband. When you get that wristband, if you keep it for a year, like wear it every single day and don't take it off, and you come back the following year and you still have it, we bring you up on stage. And this is one of the few people that had essentially kind of done that. And again, here, chapter directors from all around the world that we have that are really like aligned to our mission and our values, that are focused on kind of building and connecting the local startup ecosystems through their local chapter events and essentially hosting them. And then once a year, you essentially kind of bring them together on that. This again is obviously from Directors Summit and a few other pictures on there, but I want to kind of swiftly move to, here we go. And I call them the WWH to kind of scale your community and ultimately kind of build this brand. Now, I'm a very simple guy. I've got 3 children, and I always kind of say to them, it's very easy. You know, everyone understands 1, 2, 3, ABC. Hence why I always kind of like to say, when it comes to even things like your brand, try and just break it down into 3 very simple steps: the why, the who, the how. 1, 2, 3, WWH. And when you kind of start to think about those things of saying, I want to build my brand, why? Why do you want to build a brand? What is so important for you that you want to build a brand? Is there something that you need to be constantly kind of asking yourself these questions and saying, are there any things that you have missed? The why, to me, the who and the how, when we kind of stick to the whys, there are a few things in life that are very, very important. Every single one of us, regardless of who we are, has got a reason why we have been put on this earth. And we ultimately, it's important to kind of find our purpose in life that will lead us to kind of the journey that we ultimately want to go on. And hopefully that journey will lead us to success. And when it comes to your why, when you can kind of like answer some of those critical questions for yourself, the hope is that you'll be able to attract and bring people that are aligned to your mission, to your values, to your vision, and that your why will essentially kind of answer that for them as well. The who is the people. Again, building your brand, you have to be almost kind of like so critical in trying to determine who are we trying to attract. Your brand is not going to be forever. I can tell you that now. And if you're trying to build a brand that is for everyone, in my humble opinion, you're making a mistake. You need to be like hyper focused in trying to say, who is it that I'm essentially looking to target? And there are a couple of scenarios that can play out in your head for you. The first obvious one you can turn around and say is, am I trying to target people in my local, city, town, village, who is it exactly I'm trying to target? Am I trying to target people in a different country? Maybe you have a food brand that is very easily and readily available in Nigeria, but perhaps further down south in Zimbabwe, where I'm originally from, or South Africa, is not readily available. But now you have a diaspora community or a number of people that have relocated from Nigeria to South Africa and that are living in South Africa, and they feel that, I could very easily go to the local corner shop and be able to kind of pick up this food item, but now I'm in South Africa, I can't get that. That is your who, that is your target, and like understanding that market very, very well is important. There are, of course, some things you can do, which is simple things like research exercises and like market research, sampling sizes, and trying to kind of determine who's essentially kind of going to buy. But ultimately, you should kind of know, because it does kind of start from, most of the time, you almost serving your own, like scratching your own itch, as they say. Like ultimately kind of saying to yourself, I like this product or this brand because of, right? So you are a person at the end of the day. You then think, who else is like me? And it could be your friend circle. It could be people that you went to school with. It could be people in your local neighborhood. But they must have a lot of similarities to you. And that could be like the initial people that you'd get in touch with. So again, going back to Startup Grind, for us, when Derek Anderson started Startup Grind 10 years ago, the who was, who were other people that were like him that were interested in entrepreneurship and wanted to be seen as local startup ecosystem leaders. So they wanted to be seen as leaders in their local startup ecosystem. And when they were traveling, like one of our first chapters was LA, and then in Waterloo in Canada, they had visited Silicon Valley. They really want to be kind of like ecosystem connectors and leaders in the ecosystems. And they went back and they started that. So Derek was very easily able to like identify that, hey, here are people who are like me and essentially are interested in kind of building up their local startup ecosystem and build from there. So to always start with one. I think all too often we'll think, oh yeah, we have to get like 100 people. You don't get to this stage. You don't get to this stage without starting off down here. Look how few people they are on this stage to now how many people are on this stage. All of these is like a stage, a phase that people go. You start off with some small numbers, you get a little bit bigger, and then a bit bigger some more, and then even bigger, and then even bigger, and then even bigger. And hopefully, even at this now, as the world's largest startup community, our plan is that the Startup Grind brand will continue to kind of grow because we've been able to kind of really connect to our local startup ecosystem leaders and connect. But of course, it's not always easy, right? It's very easy to like look at in hindsight now, look at the numbers like, oh yeah, look at Startup Grind now. Look how they've been able to kind of scale, and now they have a very established brand that people are familiar with, and they have the likes of AWS and Google and Carter, and Oracle, and all these other brands that now want to be associated with us because we've been able to get to a recognized level. But how? So yes, you'll start off with your why, and then your who, and then you have to move to your how. So a very simple step process. 1, 2, 3. Your why. Why do people really want to be connected to your brand? How? Your who. Who is it that's really going to be kind of connected to your brand? And then how are we going to get the message out there? In Startup Grind's case, our how became very, very simple. And it was a simple formula, which is what you see with you today. Could be replicated all around the world, which was host typically a half-hour to 1-hour event where you bring in a thought leader or speaker, and either they do a workshop like what's happening now, or, and in our case, this almost became like our secret sauce, as it were, we do an interview style, and it was called a fireside chat. And that was the thing that Startup Grind became very much known for. Like our how was, how did we do it? We started doing this fireside chats where I would come on stage, would have the Startup Grind chapter director, Udoka in this case, who would then like ask me questions about my journey and my story, and I'd answer them. So it'd be a very candid type of conversation that we could essentially host. We could essentially do, which made it very informal, which made it very accessible, which people learn a lot through stories. It's yes, workshops are great like this, but it's one-dimensional. It is me speaking to you, and you hopefully taking all the information that I am saying when you are. But if two people are having a conversation and you're picking up some of the nuggets, even for the person that is being interviewed, they're kind of saying to themselves, oh yeah, I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, and this led me to where I am essentially today. I didn't wake up one morning and all of a sudden be part of the Startup Grind senior leadership team and overseeing all these 600 chapters all around the world. Like I had to start from somewhere. Dorka touched briefly is I had a startup which didn't quite work out. Home's Place, unfortunately, failed. And it wasn't a fun experience to happen. And there were definitely a lot of lessons and learnings from that. But ultimately, it is part of the journey. So your how for you as you kind of go about building your brand is you need to kind of figure that out. Are you basically going to start doing online, or doing like an on-demand market, especially now as here in Europe, there have been, and even when you think of business models and brands that are growing now in this new environment, there's a brand here called Deliveroo who do bicycle delivery, worth well over $1 billion now as a company. And what this business does as a brand, Deliveroo, very well known here in the UK, is they deliver food orders from different restaurants. So I don't know, maybe I'm pretty sure in your local ecosystems, you've got like delivery companies right now. Dorka, are there any that are well known in Nigeria that do delivery right now?
Well, we have a few.
And which is the best known one?
Sir?
Which is the best known delivery brand right now? The one that's like top of the market, you would say.
Okay, can anybody help me here? Because I would have mentioned the one run by one of Zen app, but I need to. I'm not really sure of the name now. I need to remember.
Okay. If you can think of any of the names, people that are on the call, feel free to kind of put them in the chat just below. But what you'll find, right, is you got to remember the delivery model. If you go back to these principles of, the why, the who, the how, delivery models didn't really exist like food deliveries in the way they are now, where it's app-based. You get your phone. I say I want food delivered. I put in my address. I can choose which restaurants. Like imagine all the different restaurants in one place. So this is, I don't know if you can see that. That's the Deliveroo app, and it's got all the different I don't know if it's going to load up. There you go. So you can see it has literally all the different restaurants that are on there. And even like supermarkets. This business, as much as it's been around for a while and their whole thing was simplicity, his story was he used to be an investment banker. They used to get, they'd want to get food from nice places, but rather than just like, a fast food joint. But of course, late at night, 9 p.m., those places would essentially kind of close, so they couldn't. So he thought, oh, why isn't there an app that I can order food from any restaurant? Now, his thinking is, who are my target customers? His target customers, well, that was his why. His target customers were other people like him. Of course, now many of us use the app because it's convenient. The how was a mobile application that allowed them to essentially kind of deliver the different to provide the different restaurants offerings in one place. So there you go. There's also Jumia Food. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. And all of these would have had a similar scenario that, of course, in their case, it's web application or mobile application that is basically downloaded on people's phone and is able to deliver it. So in all of your cases, as you kind of go about and start thinking your 1, 2, 3s, what is my why for my business and my brand? And yes, it's going to be, the sector you're in, as you mentioned, as Udoka mentioned at the start of the call, is going to be the food sector. Okay, targeting the food sector. Who is going to be a target market? Is it going to be other restaurants? Are you maybe going to be supplying to the restaurants? And maybe not just be, because there are 2, I know now they say there are 3, but there's typically B2C, which is business to customers, B2B, business to business, and now there's the B2B, B2C, which is like a hybrid. So where you're like a business to business and business to customer. Jumia Food, if they're delivery, they're actually potentially a hybrid. Yes, they're a business to a customer because they ultimately provide the delivery to the customer, but also they're B2B because they are getting all the food from all the different restaurants and making it efficient for all the restaurants and all the shops to essentially have a delivery business. And of course, as a retail store or restaurant, to have delivery means that you now have an additional channel to market your goods, which ends up being perfect. You're not basically saying, oh, we have to be open and everyone needs to come into my store or come into my restaurant. If you can provide delivery, then it's even better. And you don't have to worry about the cost of setting up a website or a mobile application, worry about inventory. The Jumia Foods or the Deliveroos or the Uber Eats, all of those people basically kind of provide you the software and the application to make it simple for you to do it. And that essentially is the how. So that's kind of like the end of my main workshop topic here. If they say the biggest takeaways would be these 3, the 1, 2, 3 steps: the why, the who, the how, and hopefully that can kind of help you to build your brand and hopefully go on to kind of win the HULT prize and bring it home to your local startup ecosystem. So that being said, I know we've got about 15 minutes left, and unfortunately I do have another appointment immediately after this, so I will need to drop on the hour. But as I mentioned, I am very keen to help and support entrepreneurs as much as possible. So I would love to take your questions, whether it's maybe on a business related idea that you have, or anything that I can do to help and support you in your entrepreneurial journeys. And feel free to ask those questions in the chat as well. Udoka, do you have any questions?
I want to first say a big thank you, sir. It's nothing short of what we expected. Very clear, simple, straight to the point, insightful. We're saying a very big thank you. And then we'll also, before I go ahead to wrap up on my gratitude giving or expressing my gratitude, I'd like to call on the cohorts, our participants here, to put forward their questions. If you have any, you can observe and then ask your questions so that will be able to be done quickly. As he has mentioned, he has something else to also attend to. So let's hasten it up. Any questions from anybody? specific to your business or a general question based on the workshop?
And maybe if you don't have a specific question, if you're not too shy, I would love to hear what you're working on, your idea-wise. I mean, use this as an opportunity to say, hey, my name is, I am working on this particular idea or this particular business. I would love to hear those as well.
Okay, so let's start with, we have in the house, we have Arakwe Success. I think she's the campus director. Success, if you can hear, you could just speak up. Then individuals who are also participants in the global competition who are here, please go ahead to introduce yourself and mention the project you're working on with your team. Mmesoma Jekwonye, you could also talk. Agwinen Deborah Obiuche, Chukwebuka Ezako. So you could go ahead and meet yourselves and then do the brief intro.
If you want, feel free to use the chat as well, if it's easier.
Oh wow, why is nobody speaking? Chukwebuka, who is unmuted there?
Maybe having some technical difficulties, possibly?
No, we've used it before, so I believe it should be smooth as the lecture went, very smooth. So except there it's about network issues. Can anyone please unmute and speak?
Yeah, you're saying something. Hello?
Yeah, Chukwebuka, please go ahead. Just introduce yourself and then mention the solution you're working on briefly.
Okay. Right now, the stuff is that my solution, me and my team agreed not to actually reveal it yet. Hope it's not hope it's not a big deal like that.
No, it's not. My tip, I would say, I mean, unless there's a patent behind it, my experience, and I've heard hundreds and hundreds of ideas, is ideas are literally just the beginning. Everything is in the execution, right? So it's almost better to, and this is just as my humble advice, but like anything, it's entirely up to people to take it or not. But you see, when you share, you discuss your idea with various people, you don't know who is listening and what advice they can kind of give you along the way. And that in itself is an opportunity. But of course, if you want to keep, your cards close to the chest, that's okay too.
Okay, so anybody else that wants to put forward, do the brief intro? We'll just give just 2 minutes to get done with it. I think, Zico, you want to give a brief intro?
Sir, I'm just coming online. I had issue with network, so I don't know what you said the last time. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I just give a brief intro, just your name and the solution you're working on.
Oh, okay.
Zico.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. Okay, well, my name is Kingsley Zikora, and I and my team members are working on a platform that will bring solutions to unhealthy food and make good food more in circulation. And our platform is called Agro Delight, an e-commerce platform. But fortunately now, we're working both online and offline for those who do not have access to the internet. So yeah, thank you, sir.
Lovely. Okay, well, that's a great question. So maybe if I can ask you based on that framework, on the why, the who, and the how. I mean, the how you touched on it briefly, which was about the platform. But on the why, what is driving you? Why do you think this platform or idea you have is important in the marketplace?
Okay, yeah, I think it's very important because in Nigeria currently, we have very expensive food, okay? And for the masses that are not financially buoyant, because I come from a background whereby we are low income. So I know the challenges I face to acquire quality food that is cheap. Most quality food in Nigeria are very, very expensive due to importation of food. And Nigeria spend more money on importing food. So how about I create a platform whereby we support our local farmers, then generate cheaper food that has high quality and make it on sales, both online and offline. So people that are not in Lagos, that other states can also access that food in any platform of ours. That's why.
Love that. Very, very, very clear, very succinct, very clear kind of target market when you talk about your local farmers, in terms of like that can be the B2B element of supporting them and giving them an easy way to kind of distribute the food. So that's great. The second part of that is knowing that it's targeting people that are on lower incomes so they can kind of get access to good food. That is brilliant. Very well defined, very, very clear. That is superb to hear. And what is the brand name that you have?
Avril Delight.
Agro Delight?
Avril, like it's a Latin word for tomorrow.
Oh, Avril.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Okay. And that's what I mean. Well, listen, congratulations. And what, if any, are there any ways like support that you're looking for right now? If you had one ask from either people on the calls or myself, what would that be?
I will need funds and publicity for now. Funds and publicity.
Okay.
That's all.
And do you have like a minimal product already that is already in like version 1 of it, or where are you at?
Right now, I was thinking on creating a website for now, so I'll run ads to make it more popularized. So currently now, I don't have a physical thing yet.
Okay.
I was creating and HULT PRIZE came up and I said to utilize it, to bring it out. So by God's grace, by next year, I should have a website and an app for it.
Well, look, please make sure, get Udoka to pass on my details to you. Would love to kind of keep in touch on your journey and see if there are other ways we can help and support you, either from the technical side of things and helping you maybe build that first version of the website. I know a lot of developers that are always looking to kind of support entrepreneurs. So there's obviously that. And of course, as you kind of get the first version out, providing publicity, this is what Startup Grind is here. And therefore, no doubt our man on the ground there, Udoka, can definitely provide you with support and publicity and kind of getting the word out as he's doing, providing this opportunity with the HULT PRIZE as well.
Thank you very much, sir. No problem. I'll get back to you, sir.
Best of luck with your journey.
Yes,
excellent.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, is there anyone else? I see you was saying teams working on getting a network of farmers and distributing farm produce. Okay, that's great.
Anyone else that wants to kick above the shyness and then speak up? Or are you all holding your cards close to your chest like Chukwuebuka?
Okay, not even that. Okay, I actually want to say something. When you have your team name, okay, we're meant to do the registration on the website, so we were confused about the team name because we are not taught about anything then. So we just use our individual names like Team Mock, MUCC. So now we have thought about a plan now. But do you think now we can't change it? But what do you say about team names? Like what's it called? Yeah, team names. Do you get my question?
Yeah, team names. I mean, obviously, if it's for a competition, the team names can be whatever you want them to be, right? Like you guys say, you use your first names, your initials. If you're thinking about a brand name, right? So a brand name is very different. This is something you're thinking. If we are to go to market, are people going to understand the brand name? So Startup Grind, like people understand it. Startup, and it's a grind. It's hard, it's challenging, it's difficult. So people understand that name. Sometimes the name doesn't make sense, like Nike. Like Nike is a brand name. If you think about it, what does Nike mean? Nike. Like, what is it? It's just, if you build a brand strong enough, then of course, same thing with Adidas or even Puma. I don't know. Maybe there's a story behind them. So I would say when you're early, it helps to start with like a brand name that has got a story behind it. Like I think was it Kingsley was saying, Avril means tomorrow in Latin. I didn't know that. And I was like, wow. So if it means tomorrow, you can like shape that as part of your narrative and part of the story and how you can kind of get the brand name out there. So just give that some thought. Think about what is the business we're trying to do? What is a brand name we can come with that shares the story and gets the name out there, which is great. There are some other practical things to think of, right? Which people always forget, but it's whether or not the domain name is available. When I come up with ideas, normally I've got like a portfolio of like over 100 domain names. So every time I think of, but I just buy a domain name, because if the domain name is available, that's a good start. Because .com, especially .com domain names, are not very easily available. But maybe like in Nigeria, if you're buying .com.ng, are those domain names very easily available? So that'll be another thing that should drive your ability to thinking of the brand name. That will we be able to get the domain name to go with it?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Excellent. I think that is everything. Okay. So again, thank you so much to your wonderful ecosystem. It was wonderful getting to speak to you all and share some very, very brief nuggets. If there's ever anything I can assist you with, more than happy. I'll put my email address here. It's phin@startupgrind.com.
Sir,
You're welcome to shoot me an email. Yes.
Normally, okay. Sir, okay. Get connected to you on LinkedIn. I don't know if you're on LinkedIn, so I don't know.
I am. Here you go. Put my details here. www.linkedin.com/Phin Mpofu. There you go. Please send me on LinkedIn message. I'll be delighted to connect with you on there as well.
Okay. Okay, sir. Do you have like, I don't know where you from your old brain, or you had a slide you were copying it from? I normally like, okay, refreshing my brain. So can you like assist us with this slide about the topic you just discussed on?
Yeah, sure. So it was kind of, I'll share my screen again. So that was the name of the slide. There you go. Leveraging community to build a global brand.
Okay. No, what I mean is like, can you okay, like, can you give it to Mr. Otobello so you could share it with us on WhatsApp, so we could, like,
yeah, sure. I mean,
yeah.
my slides, I mean, the most important one would be this one, because I tend to use graphics. Like, I like to tell stories through pictures versus like bullet points. So I would say, unless you were there at the beginning, you probably won't get a lot, like just looking at the pictures, because you missed the speaking that went along with the pictures. Yeah. But if you have specific questions, I think I was on here. Yeah, here are my details on here: LinkedIn, my WhatsApp number, and my email address. You know, feel free to drop me a message, connect up with me on LinkedIn. Happy to provide support.
Okay, sir.
Excellent. Well, look, thank you all so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. We're very grateful making our time from your time schedule to be with us here and then give us this insightful training session, which obviously has been very, very well thrilling and smooth as usual, as always. Thank you very much, sir.
Brilliant. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and good luck with the competition with the HULT PRIZE.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Tk you very much. Thank you so much.
We're grateful. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much.
So to our cohorts here, we're saying thank you again for being part of us. Wondering why we have reduced. Yeah, who is speaking? Zuko. Can you please mute?
It's okay. Sorry to interrupt. My network is taking me off. So did he send his email?
Yes, I'll give it to you. Don't worry. I'll give it. If you make it, I won't share it in the group chat. But if you make a request, I'll just forward it to you. Show us. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a request there.
Fine. So we have reduced competition, reduced participation in events, which is not quite okay. Usually we would have only done this if we had only 100 plus participants. True, we know you have data challenges to be able to participate. However, there are some in Igbo language. You have an adage that says "Ego keja ego." So, if you want really, if you really want to connect, if you really want to get well equipped with what you need to be able to build a good brand, not just for the competition, but beyond that, you would have to do certain things. For example, go for workshops like this. And this one came on a platter of gold. It's rare. You would rarely be able to connect with such individuals from across the globe. Some are international speakers, some are within Nigeria here, but operate internationally. For example, Tofa. For example, Mr. Chidi Wogu that we had earlier today. These are individuals that are really hard to reach, but we just make it easier for you guys. And then, like he mentioned, that if you have any challenge, that is very well open to help. And I assure you, if you have any challenge, he will help you. He's not just making sweet talks. This is for real. So it's very important to participate in workshops like this. Otherwise, it will just be you operating in your local space. You will not be able to have a hands-on experience beyond what you've known so far, beyond your circle. Right? You need to expand your circle, expand your network, for you to be able to build better, for you to be able to become a better entrepreneur. I assure it's very, very important. So I guess tomorrow marks the last day of our event, of the workshop sessions. You guys should just try to be there. I mean, I know it's tough, but hey, it's very important. We have another. He's a data scientist, I think, a freelance data scientist, Mr. Bob, and we also have Mr. Owona. Yeah, and then who is a developer too. I mean, that big. And of course, we have Mr. Wem. Mr. Wem is the program officer for this Tony Elumelu Foundation that everybody is rushing to apply for. Yeah, he's actually the one in charge. He's also a director at Ingressive Capital. Ingressive Capital is their equity, they invest equity in startups. For example, it's rare to have to meet up with all these investors, but Ingressive Capital invests throws money at startups. People don't really invest in startups, but they do. So this is kind of networking you need to do. You need to kick out of, like we told you, kick out of the normal usual network or your friends, and then grow yourself, get exposed, and then give a position yourself for bigger success, you and your business. Sure. So having said that, I would just say thank you for being part of us today. It's our pleasure to always help in whatever we can. I assure you, we're always here for you as much as we can. And it's glad to make some great friends here. I made a friend. Zico is now a friend. Chukwebuka, he has been a friend too now. Always trying to keep his cards to his chest for whatever reason. Honorable Precious, he's also a friend, and some other. Honorable Precious also is now a friend, and the rest. I'm not mentioning anybody's name. I've been Deborah also a friend now, and of course the campus director. So. Hey, cool. Nice being friends with you guys. For this, we are always willing to help whatever we can. Thank you for being here. See you guys tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Be there. Let's meet with the Tony Elumelu program officer, who is also at Ingressive Capital. You really need to network. All right. See you guys tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Ciao, ciao.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Who be that one? Nana, I know you could talk. I will slap you now.